So tonight we're going to look at, so the title is Healthy Movement, and it's about kind of breaking down from a Systema perspective what healthy movement is. So like for Systema, your movement should keep you healthy and get you healthy. So if you've got an injury, if you've got an illness, if you're feeling not too great, your movement should restore and rejuvenate you. And there's an approach to that. So let me just getting some bings and bongs. There we go. So some of the key things, you'll know from a Systema point of view that we're looking at is that your movement should be natural, so not contrived or not kind of too exercisey or too like martial arty. It should be with your breath. It should be absent of as much tension as possible, so relaxed. It should be smooth, and as I say, it should feel like fluid, like loose. And the feeling is something I want to try and get to as much as we can today. So we're going to start with finding that feeling, and then take it into some like mobility movements and stretches that really kind of open up the body and check through it. So it'll be like a stretch, like a mobility type class. But I want you to look for what healthy movement should feel like inside those movements. Okay, so there's a skill to it as well as the opening up and the exercise side and an idea. Okay, so as always, it starts with the breath. So if you come to a stand, and hopefully quite quickly you can come to a stand now where you feel the soles of your feet, your body's straight, your frame, your structure is holding most of your weight, not your muscles, and you're relaxed in that frame, in that shape, and you're not holding yourself. So as much as possible, your muscles are hanging on your skeleton, on your frame, you're straight, and you're even. You feel kind of symmetrical and even in your body. So if you've got a mirror, it's great to have a look at a mirror, and no one's 100% symmetrical, but pretty much from whatever angle you look at yourself, you should be symmetrical. So then check the healthiness of your breathing first. So your breathing shouldn't be too effortful, shouldn't be too labored, should be as deep and as full as you choose it to be. You shouldn't feel like you need more air when you breathe, or that you hit tension, or you hit like a resistance as you breathe in. So your air should move smoothly in, smoothly out, naturally, freely, without effort, and giving you as much as you need. So check that first. So in through the nose, out through the mouth. Great. And so then check that in movement. So start to walk. Don't worry too much about the walk yet, but start to walk and check that your breathing is still as fluid, as easy, as effortless. Is that all right? Yes. Do you have to pick up the speed a bit towards the end? Yeah. That's all right. So really check your breathing first as you do the walk. And try walking backwards a little bit too. See if that has any effect on your breath. And then take that into a light run.
this week.
Not because of travel restrictions or COVID.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so check again with your run that your breathing still feels smooth, easy. You may want to shorten it slightly. That's up to you, but just check it. Try it backwards too. Okay, great. And come back to the middle. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple of static movements next. And well, the idea I want you to look for here is that your movement, you're aware of it, but you don't really feel any change in your body when you do the movement. So we'll do simple movements first, like just a lift up of your arm from the elbow. So try and do that in a way that, of course you're aware of the movement, but how your arm feels when it's still, and then in movement, there's hardly any change. You don't feel any pressure, any torsion, any muscular effort, like with this small movement. And just notice how that feels. And if you can get that idea, then try and do it a little bit faster, like up and down. But you still need to pay attention to how it feels and whether speed brings tension or pressure or a slight catch to your breath. So then try that same thing on a walk. So a walk. And then again, lift the arm. So it should be a movement where, Vlad always talks about this, is you feel like you move inside yourself, like it's almost like there's an image of you moving inside, but you don't physically feel any change. Okay, great, and come back to the middle. So now you're going to see from a standing position, so check the feeling at the start again, how your body feels before you start moving. And then kind of move side to side and find where the edge of your freedom is before you start to feel like a loading of the muscles or a tension in the muscles. See where your edge is. If any of you are not sure what I mean by any of the stuff I'm saying, just unmute and say. So I'm seeing like what the play is inside my body, if you like, how much movement I've got before the muscles start to catch or tighten and work. Good. Try the same thing forwards, backwards. It's probably a bit, for me, there's a bit less play forwards and backwards. Because as soon as your balance starts to go, the muscles start to catch. So see what movement there is there and what play. And this idea of movement without muscles is kind of what we talk about when you do a push-up, when you do a squat. And then move kind of any direction, a bit like a gyroscope. Kind of see how much movement play you've got before you physically feel a change. Check your breathing, make sure your breathing's still okay. still uninterrupted, inhale, exhale. So of course, often when you concentrate on something a bit new or a new concept, you'll hold your breath. Okay, and then if you can, you sort of, as you start to move, see if you can lift or come up onto the toes of one of the feet. And start to do it skillfully with less and less tension in your muscles. And if you can, start to lift a foot. But try not to draw tension up your legs into your hips and these muscles. It's almost like, for me, it almost feels like as I move across this side, it's like all the sand falls to the foot and the other leg gets light. But I don't start to tighten up the hips, the muscles in the thigh, the hamstring around the knee. That all stays quite neutral and even through the standing leg. And then, if that feels okay, start to walk with the same feeling. So try and walk in a way that you hardly really feel your walk. You're not going from tension to tension in each leg. And this kind of work is great, especially if you've got injuries, because you start to be able to move without touching the edge of the injury or moving just up to it and gradually kind of washing away the tension that surrounds an injured site. You still keep movement in your body, keep the blood flowing. Yeah, no problem, Janet. Try it backwards too. You're striving that backwards feels the same as forwards. So as clean and neutral. So clean is a good word. As forwards. Like if you switch from forwards to backwards, shouldn't really see too much visual change, or it shouldn't feel like a change in your body when you switch from forwards to backwards, when you change direction. Another word Vlad sometimes uses is empty. It feels kind of empty inside. Not in a negative way though, in a way that feels like you've got loads of space. Feels very spacious inside. You're not like bumping up against the edge or sensation inside your body. Great. If that feels okay, try a little run and see how close to that feeling you can stay in a run. And then start, walk a little bit, run. And you want hardly any change. You might feel a bit more of a bounce and a jolt, but in your muscles, there shouldn't feel too much difference. Too much more effort or strain. Try it backwards too. So as you walk now, kind of, pick up your arm, maybe lift your knee a little bit higher and see what the freedom is in your movement. Before you feel like you hit the edges, you feel that you tense a muscle or feel effort or strain. See how much freedom there is inside your body. And this is kind of the that healthy range, the feeling I'm talking about of healthy movement. This isn't to say, of course, that you should never tense your muscles, or you should never strain, or you should never work hard. Of course, sometimes you do and you should, but most of your movement should feel like this. You know, throughout the day, most of your time should feel like you sit down, you stand up, you pick something up, you move from one place to the next, you walk, and most of it, you know, should be in this kind of zone. Great, okay. So come back to the middle. So now we're going to kind of go top to bottom through the body and check each of the parts for your ability to individualize it, to move it on its own, and also where the range of where the healthiness or the healthy range of it is before you start to hit physical effort or torsion or pressure. So we're going to start with the head. So inhale, exhale, and look over your shoulder. And see how far you go till you hit resistance. Then come back. Inhale, exhale. Look over the other shoulder. And as soon as you feel resistance or a tightening, come back. And just do that one side then the other. And keep trying to relax more and more. Use less and less muscle. What you're trying to do is move from, one way to do it is to feel like you go deeper and deeper inside. So you're not using the muscles on the surface. It's more like you turn the bones and forget about the muscles. See how far you can go before you feel restriction, then come back. And see if you can get to a stage where as soon as you start to feel a bit of tension, you can relax it out. Like go slow enough that you feel yourself starting to tighten and you can relax that tightening out and go a little bit further. Great, then do that on the go. So on the walk. And you'll notice doing this on the move that parts of your body will start to tense up because your balance will start to go, and you need to work on those too. So we're working a specific area, the neck, and specifically the turning of the neck. But when you do it on walking, it'll check you so much more than just doing it still, because when you lose your balance, bits of you will start to tense up and you need to drop that out. So it's a little bit the opposite of normal stretching, if you like. Normal stretching, you move until you feel everything start to tighten, and then you try and hold that or push through that a little bit, which is fine, and you can do that in Systema with burst breath too. But what we're trying to do, the work for here is done before you start to tighten, and try and prolong the range before your muscles tighten. So using your skill to not tighten so early and go further in the range. Okay, good, and try it on a run if you like too. So you try the movement a little bit faster. Okay, great. So those two things, adding movement to a stretch, like doing a stretch as you walk, and speed, makes it a practical skill. So, of course you could do all of these static and get benefit from it, but for the martial arts point of view or life application point of view, adding movement to it and adding speed to it gives it a practical sense. Okay, so this time up and back with the neck. So see how far up you can look before you feel restriction. And see how far down you can look. And it's quite obvious why you'd class this as healthy movement, because if as soon as you start to look up, you feel tension in your neck, it's not exactly a healthy range. Same as over the shoulder, a healthy range over the shoulder should be 90 degrees. You should be able to turn and look 90 degrees without any pain or tightening in your neck, your back, your shoulders. Same looking up, you really want to be able to look straight up without any pain in your neck. And just start to go slow enough to see how much of if there is restriction, how much of it is habitual, like just when you move that way, you tighten up, and how much of it is kind of already there. How much is just sitting in your nervous system. Great, if that's okay, then do it on a walk again. Notice your balance, the smoothness of your movement. Okay, and if you feel okay, try a little light jog. And really try and build that skill where as soon as you feel tension somewhere in your body, you can consciously let it go. You can just drop it out. It's not like just a tension you can't do anything about. You can relax it at will. Good, okay, great. Okay, last one with the head. So this time you're going to exhale and drop the head to the side. And feel the difference too between tension and just the pull of the muscle as, as something gets stretched, it'll pull on the muscle. That's different to the muscle fighting to stay, to pull back. So, you'll feel a stretch down here because it's, you're stretching at that whole area, but feel the difference between it being tense and just pulled tight. Great. And then finish with a big circle. See start quite small, where you hardly feel anything, then gradually increase the circumference of the circle to where you feel it. And the other way. Okay, good. And just move your head a bit like a gear stick in neutral. Okay, good. So now we're going into the shoulders. So firstly, see how high up you can pick your shoulders before you feel them start to tighten and tense and become effortful, and then just drop them heavy. So try and lift your shoulders without using your muscles, is what I'm asking you to do effectively. And then heavy drop. So they should still feel fluid, like heavy bags of fluid. If you use the muscles too much, they'll start to get light. That's one way to know whether you're moving. What do you mean light? Like if you hold my arm, you hold it up, That's when it's tense. Right. That's with it relaxed, yeah. Okay. So and you should be able to feel that inside yourself too. So if I get you to relax your shoulder, and lift it up. No, that's you. So that feels really light. Okay. No, that's you still. That's better. Okay. That's you holding it down now. Yeah. Relax it. Okay. Relax it. Feel mine? So this is me lifting it. Yeah. This is you lifting it. Okay. That's you holding it. Right, that's it. That's me holding it. Then and again. Okay. More like a dead weight then. Yeah. Yeah, so it should feel like a bag of liquid. Yeah, yeah, okay. Great. And just try that on a walk. Try one, then the other. It shouldn't make you lean either, so you shouldn't lean to one side as you do it. Your spine should stay straight. Okay, good. And watch. So this time, going to drop the shoulders down in their sockets a bit. So it won't be as much of a movement, but this time, rather than taking the shoulder up, I'm kind of moving the shoulder down in the socket, then relax it again. Probably won't be much more than a centimetre or two. Okay, good. And then do big circles with the arm, with the shoulder. But it should feel like very spacious, very fluid. And as we start to like individualize these areas now, this is a fantastic way to start to move tension out of your body. You know, if you've got like a bad neck, or a lot of people get kind of tightness around there, around the scapula. And if you can individualize it and kind of open it all up and move it in this way, that you don't tighten the muscles to move it, but you just kind of, you loosen everything off effectively. And you release the tension that's in the area. So the other side too. So your arms should still feel heavy as you do this. And there should feel lots of space and lots of movement and freedom around the joint. And if you kind of like wiggle your hand should feel heavy. Great. So now walk and do it, and kind of rotate your shoulders forwards, backwards. And this is a good movement to do regularly throughout the day, especially as most people have like driving stroke, office stroke, computer jobs. Or even if it's a manual one, you know, just check that your body feels loose, fluid, heavy, you know, in key areas where you often start to tighten and tense. And as you do this, try and feel your shoulder blade, your scapula move too. But not too muscular. Like it wants to feel like, almost like someone else is moving it. Like you're being kind of moved and massaged by someone else. It shouldn't feel like your muscles are doing the work. Good. Now a light jog. And that area that you've just been moving, try and feel it bounce and move of its own accord as you jog. So try and feel your shoulders bounce, your scapula move. You can help it a little bit, but you shouldn't feel like you're doing it. Good, great, okay. Okay, now your elbows. So see how much movement you've got in your elbows. I'm going to rotate one way, the other way. You shouldn't feel it or hear it. Shouldn't be going squeak, squeak, squeak. And it should still feel fluid, heavy, loose. Like there shouldn't be tightness and pressure through any part of the movement. Good. But it should, you know, system-wise, it should feel loose, relaxed, but not weak or feeble. It should feel like full, powerful. So that, you know, if at any time you do a hit or a strike, it's all there, you know, but it's relaxed. Great. And same with your wrists. So check you've got that feeling in your wrists too. One then the other. And there should be a commonality with this. It should all feel this, whether I move my elbows, shoulders, head, neck, the feeling is the same in my body. There's hardly any catching or clutching of the muscles, no effort involved really, and it just feels very spacious, very fluid, very healthy. Great. And then kind of work and move your fingers. You know, you could do your thumbs first, maybe, if you like. A lot of people have troubles with the thumbs. So can I see what movement you've got in your thumbs before you feel it? You know, pull them in and also circle them. And again, you shouldn't really feel in your muscles the movement. And your fingers as well, try movement of your fingers. Great, and I go to a good shake. And now with the jaw. So those areas we've worked, wrists, elbows, fingers, try and feel them move freely. Okay, great. Now we're going to look at the torso. So what we're going to do first is try and push your chest out as far as you can before you feel tension in your back or in your chest. Then move it backwards. And again, stop when you feel any tightness or tension. And see how much movement this way and that way you've got in your torso. All of your movements should feel fluid, not dry or crackly or brittle. Right. Then try and do a circular movement with your torso. Not with your hips. Try and do it with your torso. Not with your shoulders either. So I'm trying to move my shoulders as little as possible, my hips as little as possible, and it's just as big a circle as I can with my torso. But inside, muscle tightness. So I don't want to do it so much that I feel everything pull tight. I want to see how much movement there is in freedom. Great. One way, then the other way. Try it both ways. If you want to think of it another way, think of your spine and try and do like a big, imagine your spine was like a rope, and you know you can like move it and then the rope does a big circle. You're trying to move your spine like that. Without hitting your edges. This ties in with that idea of like moving your bones, not your muscles. Right. Okay. And try that on a walk. Like forwards, backwards movement with the spine, circular movement with the spine. Okay, great. And watch. So now, and you may not have a lot of movement on this, but I want you to be quite strict and stop yourself before everything starts to lock and tighten. So start to lean back. Soon as you feel things start to tighten, come forwards again. And then hang yourself forwards. Soon as you feel things tighten up, come back up. See how much movement you've got before tightening. And there should be, as you're inhaling and exhaling, should be no restriction on it. Shouldn't be catching. If it's catching, there's definitely tension in your body. Breathing it should be uninterrupted. And if you're starting to get it, this is in Systema what we call the feeling of correct movement, which is healthy movement. And this will bring healing and stability to your body and stability and calm to your psyche. Okay, good. And try that a little bit on a walk. Okay, it'll be a bit more restricted probably on a walk. But as you walk, lean backwards a little bit. Feel where the tightness comes in. And then lean forwards a little bit. Okay, and then have a loose jog. And see how much movement you can feel through your torso. Around your lower back and your hips. Okay, great, and watch. So now we'll look at the hips a little bit. So in a static position, circle the hips, but only as far as you start to feel things tighten or lock. So again, you're aware of the movement, but you're not feeling a tightening or an effort in the muscles. You're kind of moving inside. Both ways, try it both ways. There shouldn't be like a tightening of the muscles as I load on one leg or the other. Or if there is, it's very minimal. Great. Okay, now the challenge, try and take that into walking. Try it forwards, backwards. Check your breathing. Okay, great. And watch. So now moving the hips forwards and backwards. So move your hips forwards, back to middle, backwards, and just see what the range is like. Before you feel effort and tightening. And then same thing side to side. So it's just your hips that move side to side. You notice my shoulders and my knees, or my feet for sure, pretty much stay the same. It's just my hips that move side to side. See what your range is before you start to feel it. Great. Okay, good. Okay, now onto the legs. So start to lift the knees. And see what your range is on the knee lift before you feel it. Either in the standing leg or the lifting leg. And don't put your mind here or here. Put your mind in your knee. So like lift the knee. Without tensing or tightening the muscles. Good. And you should, if you weren't straight away, start to be having a really good understanding and feeling of, when the muscles start to tighten. Very conscious understanding of it. Great. Do that on a walk. Okay, good. And then lift and move your leg out to the side and try that range. Very low amplitude first. Find out how much movement there is before you feel any stretching, and then little by little find or increase the range or the edge. Your foot should feel heavy on the end of your leg. So you lift up the knee and then swing the leg out. Keep your focus in your foot. If it starts to feel light, you're tensing the muscles up. Okay, good. Shake the leg off. Okay, now start to lift the heel and feel where the hamstrings start to tighten. Good. So if you've got any tension, these movements will start to remove it. This feeling of movement will start to remove it. Good. Now have a light jog and feel the looseness through your legs. Good, shake the legs out. All right, so the final thing we'll do is take that into a little bit more functional stroke stressful movement with a few functional movements. So first one, a squat. So find that feeling where everything feels even. And then squat and back up. Doesn't have to go all the way down. See what the range is in your squat before your muscles start to tighten. Then see if you can go a little bit further. And then you can see if you can go a little bit quicker and a little bit further with hardly any change. Okay, good, and watch. So now, keeping the same feeling, lower yourself to the ground. Then you can stay on the knees first if you like. You come back up and absolutely minimal tightening and tension in the body. So this is like a squat and a push-up if you like, but in a practical sense. So try that. No change to your breath, no pressure build up, no tension in the muscles. And then, if that feels okay, little by little, you can do a slightly more energetic movement, but it still feels almost the same. So you figure out how to move more powerfully and faster, keeping the same health to your movement. So like speed and power don't bring in pressure, tension, torsion, quick exhaustion. Great. Okay, good. So now the other way. So it'll involve a sit-up rather than a push-up. Any way you like to get down to your bum, that's okay. Then sit back, sit up, and then squat. This is a squat and a sit-up. Same idea though. There's hardly any change in the body. No special technique to the get down and the get up. It's good if you can do it without the hands, because that's very good practically. But don't worry if your knees are bad or keep checking your breath. That's one of the best barometers for pressure and tension in the body. Try and keep your torso straight and your head and your neck straight. That'll give you the best chance of a smooth breath. This is putting these concepts and ideas we just worked on into a bit more practical, everyday application. And you can see you can bring healthy movement to your whole life. Life's movement. You're not moving, you're dead. And you're bringing a health to that. So every movement is restorative, healing for your body and for your psyche. Okay, and then if you like, try that at a run. So at a run, get down, get up, forwards, backwards. As much of the movement as possible without effort, strain. Healthy, relaxed, calm, balanced, stable, rejuvenating. Okay, great, and walk. Inhale, exhale. See if you can walk like almost inside a bubble where you don't feel any change. It's like you're almost floating in a bubble. You stop, change direction. Like you can stop, start again. There's no change. There's not like applying the brakes and everything lurches to a stop and then you have to lurch yourself into motion again. Like you can smoothly stop, you can smoothly start. There's no change. Forwards, backwards, sideways. Okay, great. All right. First, come back to a stand. Come back to where we started. Inhale, exhale. Check the fullness of your breath. Doesn't mean that you have to completely fill up and completely empty out. And most of the time you shouldn't be anyway. You should be, again, like inside yourself with your breath. You shouldn't be touching your edge on the inhale and the exhale. But it should be absolutely full enough to give you what you need for whatever activity you're doing. Okay, great. Thanks, everyone. Any questions, thoughts, comments?
Thank you.
Thanks, Debs.
Thanks, Matt. You had a good
Thanks, Jack.
merengue going there.
Hey,
Thanks a
This
lot,
to
Matt.
sorry.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Great. Cheers, Phil.
Feel better, Helen?
Yeah, rest well, Helen. Take care, all. Great to see you.
Thank you so
Matt.
much, Matt.
Have a great evening.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, Enrique.
Bye, everybody.